Have you ever said,
I'll hire an accountant when my business becomes profitable?
Are you working with an accountant that's only providing bookkeeping and tax services?
Get behind the shield.
The experts at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has a solution. Virtual CFO services can put your business in the black faster and help you make data-driven decisions. Boss Virtual CFO Services offers strategic planning, risk management, reporting analysis, HR financial guidance, tax planning, and much more. Schedule your consultation today at elite8financial.com or give us a call at 866-2-ELITE-8. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, what your business needs before it needs it.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
GQ. Style, comfort, and confidence. Shop with the trend in mind. GQ. Get the latest styles in outerwear, tops, jumpsuits, hats, and accessories. GQ. Shop from the comfort of your own home with confidence and quality products, hassle-free exchange, and free shipping over $65. GQ. Visit us online at gqboutique.com to shop our new fall collection.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
He gon' fix your situation like there ain't no time for wasting. We ain't playing when we saying
he the boss.
And if you ever have a problem, he gon' show you how to solve it. Listen in and he'll show you he the boss.
Talk
Here's your host, the sexy tax expert, George Dandridge.
Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
What's good, family? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Boss Talk Radio. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. If you are tuning in from Facebook, make sure you leave your name and where you're tuning in from so we can shout you out properly. Also, so when I'm addressing any questions, I can do so by name. If you are tuning in from YouTube, thank you for subscribing. If you're tuning in from anywhere other than YouTube, please go and subscribe to Boss Talk Radio. Today, we have the super coach in the building. We're excited to get into a bunch of different things with her. We were like, where are we going to go with this? Like, you do so much. You've seen her as a TEDx speaker. You've seen her on countless news programs, speaking at colleges and everything. Welcome to the show, Miss Stephanie D McKenzie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm so glad to have you on. And I'm going to just go ahead and say I was surprised at how easy it was to get to you. I was like, oh, she's right there. So thank you for being on. I know you have a very busy schedule. And so for those who are not familiar with you because they, work 90 hours a week and live under a rock, tell everybody about yourself.
Awesome. Well, as you said, I am a super coach. I have a whole bunch of certifications, but really I do a myriad of things. So I coach life, I coach relationship, I coach business, I coach health, just a myriad of things because a lot of my clients need more than one thing. So I'm happy to be able to serve them in a multitude of contexts and usually end up supporting high achieving coaches, owners, and leaders in those various contexts. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
And what's interesting about that is in a time where there's a lot of coaches or whatever, tell us, I think people get caught off guard when they realize the coaches need coaches. Because I think that everybody, I was talking about this on the motivation episode, there's only so much positive self-talk you can give yourself. And I think that people run into this wall when you start to see some success, but you don't know how to transition because the people around you were the same people that were there when you started, and maybe they're not achieving success at the same pace. And you don't know how to separate yourself from them. So you develop imposter syndrome. You develop, sometimes even as far as depression, because there's no like balance, and you haven't yet transitioned into that new circle of people. Matter of fact, somebody once said, okay, so if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong circle.
Mm-hmm.
And, or if, or show me 4 people around you, this is who you are, so forth and so on. My thing is, if everybody wants to be in the circle above themselves, how does anybody get anything done? How do you move in and out of circles? Talk to me, Stephanie.
Wow, that's a lot going on right there. I'm a huge proponent of, if you are the smartest person in the room, get a new room. I am absolutely on board with that. But you bring an interesting point to the table. I think, now this may not be the best answer, but I think, there's always a level higher, I think. But back to what you were saying in terms of people, coaches needing coaches and all of that. Yeah, that's a real thing. I think really, and I say this as somebody who spent 10 years as a coach before I had my own coach. And the reason why I did that was because, one, I wasn't surrounded by people that I felt like could coach me. And then the other part of that was the coaches that did approach me, I was like, what? Like, you really have nothing to offer. Like, my program's $8,000. I'm going to teach you how to use social media.
Don't get me started.
Okay, use it how? Like, what exactly are we doing? And so, like I said, one of my things was in working with the business coach that I still have to this day, is that they had to have done more stuff than I have. And I've done a lot of stuff. And so, my coach has actually done everything that I've done and then some. So it's just a different vantage point. I think that's what people miss about the coaching, because the other thing they like to say, George, is, I don't need a coach, I can Google it. Okay. All right. Let me know how that Google is going to work out for you, because at the end of the day, yeah, you can Google it, but there's something that happens when you're being held accountable by another human being, and that person is giving you concrete sound with wisdom. Because I've Googled quite a few things in my life. What I know is that I can look at that thing and sometimes be like, is that the way I need to do it though? And that's what coaches and consultants and mentors and advisors, that's what they should bring to the table, is a plan that makes sense for you, but also a level of accountability you're not going to get from your boo, your bae, or your bestie. It's just not going to happen.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was one of those people that struggled with the concept of a quote unquote business coach, mostly for the same reasons that you did. Like, what have you done that I have not done? And how does anything that you've done translate to evidence to helping me? And here's what I found. And this was like shortly before everybody on planet Earth was a coach.
And the moon. Don't forget the moon. Don't forget.
We had this time where, because I think the term just ultimately evolves. We had consultants and, we had coaches and whatever the case may be.
Right.
I think that you just absolutely have to ask yourself, and this is where I think people fail. you have to ask yourself, what is the objective?
Right.
What am I trying to accomplish? And what I found is once you write that thing down, now you can seek the right coach. Case in point, I offer a coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
It is a business coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
But if your objective is to kill it on social media, I'm not your guy.
Right.
That's not what I do.
Right.
You know, now, if you want to take a look at your financials, streamline some stuff and, you know, maximize profitability and things of that nature, hey, I got you all day.
You're the man.
You know, teach you how to do it and so forth and so on. But I think that people go about looking at coaches the wrong way. So that's why I had to introduce you as the super coach, because a lot of your clients are, in fact, coaches themselves.
They are.
But you're not giving them, for lack of better words, a carbon copy to go out and be you. You're teaching them to be the best them, you know. So besides the coaching aspect, how does one transition from that survivor's remorse and those interpersonal relationships when they have to themselves graduate mentally and understand, hey, my success is a result of my effort, and it's okay. And it's okay to leave Joe Blow over here behind because they didn't put in the work.
You know, that's so funny that you would ask me that. And I also want to take note that we're matching today. I don't know if we got the memo, George, but today is a turquoise blue day. I think that's a great thing. Yes. So, you know, it's funny you said that. I was having a conversation with my mother last night. And she says, I don't understand this thing. Well, let me get my mommy voice. I don't understand, you know, how Black people can be upset with other Black people for their success. And, you know, that really was meaningful to me, because that's something that I pondered for quite some time. And, you know, and yeah, it's not just Black people, but that's what we were on last night. And like you said, survivor's remorse. That, you know what, I've done the work. I've ascended to a particular level. I'm doing well. Everyone around me is maybe not on that level, and that's okay. I still need to do what's necessary to sustain myself, and again, not feel guilty about it. I think the challenge comes with the guilt, because people do feel guilty about their success, and I'm like, you have nothing to feel guilty about. And in that space, don't make the mistake of trying to bring people along on your journey that aren't supposed to be there, because that's the other part of the survivor's remorse piece, is that, you know what, I can fix it. I'm going to go get everybody that ain't got nothing, and I'm going to pay them, and they're going to work for me. Okay, MC Hammer, let us know how that works.
Not Hammer.
No shade, but come on. You can't hire everybody.
And I'm going to be transparent right here and go ahead and admit that I've been guilty of that. You know, not even just in building my own team, but I've been guilty of that from a service space. You know, because it was like, wow, I have all of this information, I have all of these tools. I need to save us.
Right.
Let me run out and grab everybody and teach them this thing. And then I learned very painfully, everybody don't want help. Everybody don't want to be saved. You know, there are some people that want it done for them.
That's true.
And then there's some people that's actually, it took me forever. Well, I'm not going to even pretend to understand this now. I'll just say some people are okay in they're complacent at whatever point they're in there, and I could never process that. And so I started to make some different changes, you know, about how to approach that, because one of the things I learned quickly was that mentality wasn't going to sustain me or my business. And in order for me to pour into those that I can possibly reach, well, I had to be self-sustained my own self. So
that part,
you know, I had to get those clients that could, one, recognize my value, two, see it as actual value.
Right.
I tell people all the time, they come to me and they're talking about how to reconstruct their pricing model, and they're usually seeking a way to reduce the price. And I tell them all the time, there's not possible to reduce the price in a state of a declining dollar. So what you want to do is increase the value, not decrease the price.
That part.
So how do you get people over that hump with the part about separating from those they love or those that started with them, importing that wisdom of, hey, everybody can't go to the next level of stairs with you. This is where they get off.
I'll let you know when I get there. Totally kidding. But like you said, when you were saying you were guilty, I'm guilty. I was pointing at me, hashtag me too, although that's not what that's for. But anyway, I get, I think sometimes as humans, we get so excited about cutting people off. And I'm like, we got to watch that, because I can separate from you mentally and still communicate with you. The challenge becomes, I'm just not going to let you infiltrate my thoughts.
We're going to put a bookmark right there, because that one right there was strong. We're going to come back in just a moment with Stephanie D McKenzie, and we're going to get out the shovel and go deep on that. We'll be back right after this.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
Did you know the IRS just hired more than 50,000 new agents? Most of these agents specialize in collections and are mandated to audit small businesses and increase collections on individuals. IRS notices can be intimidating, but waiting to act could cost you your valuable taxpayer rights. Don't try to handle the IRS alone. These agents are trained to trap you into agreements designed to collect as much money as possible. They'll pay thousands of dollars to a marketing company claiming to be a tax resolution firm. Get behind the shield. The enrolled agents at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services are experts at tax resolution, protecting taxpayers' rights, and are federally licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has the knowledge, skill, and experience to assist you with audit representation, liens, levies, offers and compromise, innocent spouse relief, wage garnishment, back taxes, and more. Don't lose sleep, time, or your rights as a taxpayer. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com to schedule a consultation and get the IRS off your back. Get behind the shield. Your bags are packed and you're ready to enjoy a much-needed vacation. You arrive at the airport and you're delayed because you were unaware of new protocols. When you land, you're not sure who to use for reliable ground transportation. You arrive at your resort to find it doesn't look like the brochures and your accommodations aren't ready. You've just lost an entire day trying to get settled and you still have to find things to do while on vacation. Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. At D&O, every detail of your trip is vetted for quality to create a great client experience. We're even accessible while you're away to take care of any concerns that may arise. Call us today at 510-459-7732 to plan your next vacation. Or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions. Details is what we do.
Knowledge, integrity, security, service. Get behind the shield.
We are back with Stephanie McKenzie, and before we went on break, man, you put a powerful one out there, and we're going to spend a little moment on that and, pull out the shovel, kind of turn that dirt over a little bit. So let's go back into it. You've transitioned. You said we were to cut people off happy. And that we have to be careful with that. But you said we can cut people off, well, not cut them off mentally, but basically somehow protect your space. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you achieve that because I think one of the challenges is that oftentimes people don't see your growth in the growth phase until they've been away from you for a while, when they don't have access, and then they're able to see you again and recognize the change. But it's kind of like, somebody that's seen you 6 months apart can see you've lost weight, whereas the person that sees you every day may not,
Yes.
So what does that look like? How do you protect that energy while not just cutting people? Because, hey, and I'm asking because I went from, I'm going to save the people to cutting everybody up. Like, hey, you move funny one time. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it has to be done. I'm not going to sit here and say everything is rose and rainbows. And though I love a good unicorn, sometimes that just won't save the day. The challenge for me sometimes is that case in point, I had a friend. I'm always talking about, I'll lay my stuff bare. So here we go. I had a friend, we've been friends for years, but something in me said that, you know what? I enjoy talking to this person and that's great, but they don't believe the things that I believe. They don't believe the things that I believe about business. They don't believe the things I believe about money. They don't believe the things I believe about a variety of things, being, driven and ambitious, et cetera, et cetera. And that was cool until I started to realize that the comments this person would make about certain things that matter to me, I didn't like the energy on them. So that was a case of, okay, what do you do with this person? Like, I care about you and I like you, but I'm not going to continue to defend my choices to be and show up how I want to in the world. So in that, I had a choice, right? I could have said, you know what, I really like you. And, I love defending my position. I know when I talk to you, I'm going to have to defend why I make the decisions that I make in business and why I think the way I think about money and abundance and all these things and self-love, and relationships. Or I decided that, maybe we shouldn't be in communication. So there comes a point when you make a decision. Now, there are some people who don't think the way that I think, but they also don't put me in a position where I have to defend who I am and who I'm becoming. So we'll continue to communicate with them.
Yeah, I think when at that point you look at, because like I tell everybody, it's not helpful to be in the room. We have this kind of concept about like-mindedness, and that has a value, but you have to also admit, I think the term is moderation. If you're in a room full of people that think exactly like you, there's no difference of thought, then there's a problem, because growth can't take place in there.
No.
But at the same time, like you said, when you have to constantly defend how you show up, that can be mentally draining.
Exactly.
And I think that's that thing you have to kind of escape or whatever. And I found that if you show up your authentic self enough, people that can't stomach it, they remove themselves. You don't usually have to cut them off, At least that's been my experience, because usually how I handle those people is I talk about all of those things that I feel is great that I know you can't stand, to the point where I don't want to be around him. He always talking.
You know what though, George? Sometimes they will hang out because they like the perks. Like, that takes me back to like my marketing career, when we used to do a lot of celebrity events, right? And we always had an influx of interns. Everybody wanted to intern with exclamation points, because they thought I was stupid. That, I just want to get some, some real world experience. No, you want to go to these music world parties. That's what you want to do. I get it. So sometimes people will hang out. They will hang out because they like the presence. They like the perks. They like having a friend that they can call that can actually do stuff for them. I've seen that as well.
How do you identify those?
Oh, they're easy. Usually they out themselves. Because one, they don't ever do anything. Now, being reciprocal doesn't mean you can do what I can do for you. That's fine. But you never do what you can. You never do what you can.
I remember a conversation with Sharita Humphreys. We were talking about how the ecosystem moves different from the network, because in the ecosystem, everybody is looking to do something for other people based in their own lane, not looking for the return, but just being able to feed those people around them. Whereas the network is looking for the opportunity, to get something out of it or whatever. So that's big. So you have this trademark term. Tell us about it. Sozological.
Sozological. Lord, George, I like to make up names. Words are bae. I love words. Like, I'll tell anybody. So, when I became obsessed with healing and health and wholeness, I had to put a framework to it. So there are 3 different divisions in the firms. There's the relationship firm, there's the healing firm, and there's the launching firm. The healing firm was the firm that was launched when I decided that, one, I came out of seminary and figured out, you know what, the way y'all see God, yeah, that's not how God is. Great. Next thing you figured out was, oh, I can have wholeness and abundance right here on earth. I don't have to die to be whole and abundant. So out of those spaces came the healing firm. And so when I put a framework to it, there's a term, I believe it is in Greek, sozo. Sozo is a Greek term that means wholeness. And so I heard it for like 3 years in seminary. And I was like, I like sozo. Sozo meant like being whole, being, together. I like it. So when I wanted to put together a framework of what I consider to be very practical applications to wholeness, Sozological just kind of came with that. And so that's it's 6 dimensions of wholeness, for everything from relational all the way to something that I call historical wholeness, where you are okay with the things that have happened in your past. You have healed from the things that have happened in your past. You didn't just move on. You didn't just glaze over it. You didn't just go throw it in an emotional closet. You actually made the effort to heal from it. And so now you are historically whole because you can never be held hostage to your past.
I know you absolutely got some pushback on this whole concept. I know they were not happy with you.
Why? Why would anybody be happy with me?
I'm just saying, because, when you start with, the way you see God, and I get so much pushback when I try to get people to accept that whole faith without works part. The work doesn't look like what you think. Like, you got a gift, and you got to unwrap that thing, and then you got to share it with others. And, I get so much pushback on this that I'm like, maybe it's my delivery. I'm just doing something. I'm just saying this thing wrong. But then I notice that the people that have a thought process like I do, these leaders around the globe, they think more like me. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I go about surrounding myself with more of those people? Because these people over here are draining, So I think that's kind of made me an introvert to an extent. People like, oh, you're not an introvert. Like, yeah, no, I'd rather not. Just, You're like, well, but you're the life of the party. Yeah, but there's not many parties I'm in.
That part. No, I'm with you. Listen, I'm completely with you, because I have to full transparency. Pre-seminary, I was a rogue Christian anyway. Like, you could say stuff to me and I'd be like, that ain't what that scripture means. Yeah, that's not what that says. That's not the proper context. Like, I would literally sit up and be like, yeah, your sermon's all the way wrong. So I was already rogue. Then I go to seminary, and people think that seminary is like Sunday school on acid. It's not. You learn all of these various constructs, and I went for Christian leadership, and P.S., I didn't want to go. And so I did not. I was like, I have an MBA. I'm teaching on the collegiate level. I have businesses. I don't have time for seminary, but something said go, so I went. I now know that the reason why I went is so that I could get this information and impart it to people so they could be liberated from their somewhat dogmatic beliefs. Because a lot of times what people believe about wholeness and abundance and faith and works, and it's all distorted. It's all distorted. That's why we're not walking in it, because it's all distorted. And then when people say, hey, you know that's not what that is. Oh, it's like, did you really say that? And I'm like, yeah, but see, here's the thing. You can't come for me because I've been equipped with these letters after my name. So I can roll up. You want theological, Stephanie? She's here. Let me help you out. Because I truly believe that we don't have to die. Like a lot of what Christianity wants is for us to struggle. That's what's being purported, right? Struggle. You're gonna struggle.
Well, let's and we weren't intending on it, but
we weren't, but we hear now.
You know how we do on Boss Talk Radio. Since we didn't turn that stone over, let's go on and get the shovel out on that situation. So, you know, context, like you said, context is everything, number one. And I think too often people don't even know how to. We live in a soundbite society, you know. But to your credit, when you say, "Hey, you know, people can't come for you because you have these letters or whatever," to me that equates to you did the work. When I saw Sozological, I didn't know what the sozo was, but I knew this is the study of, so let's get the sozo part, you know, out of this thing, because whatever it is, see, and I wanted to touch on that because I didn't want anybody to think we're just out here making up words, because you can make up a word, but you have to be able to justify this word that you made up. And so, you know, let's touch some unpopular opinion. How much of this Christian culture, the struggle Christian culture, is by design indoctrinated into Black people for the purpose?
I'm just gonna log off now. Have a good night. Thank you so much. It was great being here with Boss Talk Radio. Y'all have a good night. All right.
You turned over the rug,
because you about to upset some people because they were just praying for $10,000. I don't know what you're doing over here. What are you doing?
You know, that's what like I said, sometimes my delivery just don't sit well with people, but I figure, you know, hey, you have the letters to articulate my position.
And I'm here for it. So let's go. I'm here.
So, you know, because a lot of times that's, in fact, I won't even say a lot. Very often, I think that us use that as a cop-out, you know, to not try harder, to not do as much work. And I'm always reminded of the story with the guy that drowns in the flood, you know, and gets to heaven and asks God, well, why didn't you help me? You know, so talk to me. Is that what we're faced with, or is that the world over Christianity? Because I think it's a U.S. Christianity thing. I
do. I truly, let me tell you, the thing that flipped my entire wig off, as you can see, I'm in a head wrap today, was a class I took called Doing Theology in Global Context. And in that class, it basically, the summation of that class for me was Western Christianity is its own construct. As a Christian in China, I would do things different. As a Christian in Ethiopia, I would do things differently. However, Western Christianity has somehow become a dominant voice in religion, and it literally just got to the party. And it walks in the house and says, yeah, Buddha, Taoist, Catholicism, everything, you ungodly. And I'm like, how, Sway? When it comes to the Black church, I truly believe that Western, as you said, the indoctrination of Christianity has left us encouraged, but also discouraged. discouraged to, as you said, make greater effort, discouraged to make investments in ourselves beyond a 10% tithe, discouraged to question the belief system and what we've been taught, discouraged to look at context, discouraged to recognize that we're created for abundance, and discouraged to recognize that Jesus wasn't broke.
So, being a soul child, back in the 70s, there was this kind of thing, as a kid where you didn't talk back to your elders.
Right.
You don't question elders. There seem a whole lot of Black churches to me today because people don't seem to think it's okay to question what inherently, just like in your gut, it don't seem to make sense.
Right.
But you feel uncomfortable questioning it. And, again, that's where my delivery just gets real unpopular with this thing, but let's go back. Can we make a U-turn? I want to.
You driving? I'm just in the car.
I want to make a U-turn because you said something, and somebody might have missed that in the back. So I want to go make a U-turn and go get them. You talked about historical healing, and you put this thing in a way that I have not heard before. I've gotten the concept of, hey, you don't just move past it, you actually heal from it. And I think that there's a thing with this that happens. And again, I'm looking for you to come in and correct this stuff. Like, give me the words. But I think too often people get caught in this space where they want the participation of others in their own self-healing. Yeah, it happened, whatever it was. It did. But the cavalry's not coming. So you can't take something at 5, 10, 15 and carry it into 50 because there's a generation following you, probably of your own lineage, that you're going to pass this pain to, and so if you choose not to get over this thing till 55, well, how many generations did you just, influence behind you when there's a 2-year-old, I don't know. So how do I frame the question? Because to me, okay, here's what it is. Here's what it is. Should empathy have a limit? And we're talking about personally, professionally, culturally. Should empathy have a place? Is there a line where it goes from empathy to pity?
I think empathy has to have a line to a certain degree, because I'm only going to walk in your shoes for so long. And if I continue to walk in your shoes, not only do I run the risk, and this is just me thinking as you're talking, not only do I run the risk of engaging in pity, I then also run the risk of becoming your enabler. So I've got to have a limit, even, as a coach, I can sit in sessions with people and they'll be saying things. And I'm like, when I was an emotional sponge, which I'm not much of a sponge anymore, but that's evolutionary, and we can talk about that later. But I can empathize, but I don't need to take ownership. That ain't my stuff. That's their stuff. I can hold space for you. I can empathize with your challenges as a human. I can do all of that. But if I begin to skew, if I dwell in that, like, oh my God, that's so sad. And, I don't know how you're getting to, oh my God, I would just be, the minute I take ownership of their pain, I can no longer be objective, right? As a human, in a human to human situation, And when I take ownership of somebody else's pain, now I've become codependent. Or I'm running the risk of becoming codependent. Because at the moment I take ownership of their pain, what normally follows that is a definitive action to fix their situation. When I start fixing folks, now I'm out of place, because that's not my role. It was never my role to be the savior. It was never my role. I looked at the cross. I wasn't on it. Okay, great. So, in fact, nobody's on it unless you're Catholic. Okay, great. Good talk. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I can't take ownership. I can empathize with your experience. I could even be moderately saddened by your experience, but I can't take ownership.
And I think that's where that I don't know, fallacy thing comes in, like when people want to dump on you, and you don't choose to connect into the story the way they're, I guess, seeking. I don't know.
Right.
You know, and I don't know. I get a bad rap for this one. I'm called the a-hole, and I'm like, hey, self-preservation is not selfishness, you know. No. And the thing is that, you know, hey, here's where we're created equal. We have 24 hours in a day, you know, regardless of your socioeconomic background or whatever, you can't get more or less. It's 24 hours in a day.
That's right.
I don't want to absorb your foolishness in use of my 24, you know. So when I was talking earlier, when I was saying like people would remove themselves, what I seen was when I stopped allowing people to have pointless conversations around me.
Right.
You know, like I don't want to, and this is like family, friends, guys, gals alike. Like I don't want to talk about the stats on your football game. You know, that doesn't produce nothing right here. You know, it doesn't grow me. You know, I don't want to talk about what happened on the real hip hop of housewives, and you know, that's not gonna grow me. You know, I don't want to talk about the family bickering. This one, that doesn't grow me. All I want to hear about is what positive thing happened to you, what goal you have next, or whatever, what we can do together. And I found that not only did that change the people around me, but it changed my peace. You know what I mean? It changed the clarity I was able to, you know, engage with, because now I'm able to have something to feed off when I'm by myself. And I remember a conversation like, I wonder what that would look like if I developed it like this and get the pen and, you know, start writing. That other stuff just doesn't, and I'm not there for it. So people leave me out of a lot of stuff, and I'm okay with that.
You know, I think that's fair. One of the things that I implemented in my life was people asking me if I have capacity. And, you know, because sometimes people need to talk, and that's fine. I'm completely fine with that. But I created a self-covenant with myself. I have a self-covenant that says, I do not have people in my inner circle that can double as clients. I will not live my life in a coaching session. I did at one point in my life. So what I implemented, because I do know that sometimes people just, you know, you got stuff going on. Okay, great. I request that people ask me if I have capacity. Hey, Steph, I need to talk to you about something. Do you have capacity? Yes. And that gives me the opportunity to assess, do I really want to talk about this or not? Okay, great. And then we can continue or not. I might actually say, I don't right now, but tomorrow's a lighter day. Can it keep? You know, because I have the right to say that, because I've seen what happens when I get tired. It ain't pretty. It's so not pretty. Like, and so the need to be really honest about when I can hold space, when I can't, when I want to have deep, meaningful conversations, when I want to have frivolous conversations, just being mindful of that keeps me balanced. And I'm all about the balance. Like, we need to be balanced. I know what happens when I'm imbalanced. I know what happens when I'm operating in a lack of reciprocity. I want to stay in balance. I like my seesaw going up and down. I never liked it when my butt slammed to the earth because somebody jumped off. Never liked it. Did not excite me. Quite painful, in fact. So
I think there's a kid somewhere right now. There's a 20-something-year-old like, what is she talking about? What is it?
I know, right? Like seesaws are a thing that used to be in playgrounds, and you could sit on one end and go up and down using the strength of your legs.
Playgrounds are the thing outside.
Oh my God.
The empty space in between.
Exactly. Like, what? Like, and cassette tapes are, let me quit. But I mean, yeah, it's a different world, definitely.
So we have the, and thinking of this in lieu of, because I have a show coming up that is about equity and inclusion. And on said show, I intend to play devil's advocate.
Oh boy.
But in the process, what I'm seeing as I'm studying this thing is that oftentimes people murk the line with empathy and pity. Part one. Part two, there's this evolving social construct of acceptance without limitation. And so the question that I'm going to be posing as part of that, because I really believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a real thing. It's a conversation that needs to be had. It's a applied energy and effort that needs to be done. But I think the term has been hijacked by self-interest groups. And so the question becomes, where do we draw the line? Because here's what I've observed in natural human interaction. What you force in the workplace does not become who people are.
That's
so
right.
You have an non-authentic situation when you create that, right? So because when they leave, they're going to be around what they enjoy being around. They're going to be around who and what they identify with. Just like I was saying earlier about, hey, I don't want to have your frivolous conversations. To me, frivolous conversation is a milestone in business or something, not, hip hop wife or football stat or whatever. So in your opinion, what does that balance look like? Because I think oftentimes what we see in these subcultural groups, just my opinion, I have no study on this part, is that we have a legion of people who either have not healed or was raised by a hurt, that created this pushback to, what may have been societal norms or whatever, some of which needed to be or whatever. But where do we draw the line, and how do we create that balance from historical healing to workplace interaction to being authentic within yourself and being empathetic, but not to the point where, you just got to swallow something you don't believe?
I mean, you wanna work me today. Okay. All right. Like, hold on. Let me stretch out a little bit. Okay. He's working me today. So here's the thing. You hit the nail on the head when it comes to, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is that there are all these initiatives. Like, we're going to do this, that, and a third, and then they're going to come to the table and we're going to leave a seat. And I'm like, okay, look. But the challenge with any kind of true transformation is that it has to come from within. And much of the things that we do as individuals, professionally on that topic and in life in general are performative. They are external. It's kind of like when everything was going on after the George Floyd assassination, You know, we were getting real estate said, we're not going to call it a master bedroom anymore. Okay. Do we really care about?
I forgot about that one.
You forget about that. You can't forget about it. It's now the primary bedroom. We're so committed to the cause. Black Lives Matter. I'm like, listen, nah, that doesn't have anything to do with, well, everybody jumped into this performative allyship, you know, like, and that's the problem with DEI. Oftentimes it is performative. True transformation comes from within. So for that to happen, there's a level of vulnerability that has to be there. Somebody has to recognize that they are wrong in what they believe. Now, if you want to incite that possibility, okay, great. But then the program should then support them in learning. See, there's no program that lets somebody come forth and say, hi, I'm a whole racist. I hate Black people, brown people, and purple people, but I don't want to anymore. Can you help me? There's no program that says that, because we don't want to hear that. We want to have cultural competency classes for 6 weeks, and then everybody's like, our entire staff has been trained in cultural competency. Okay, but Rob still hates Black, brown, and purple people. Like that's just the reality of the situation, because we didn't take the time, as we often don't as humans, to get to the core of the issue. You know, why does Rob hate those people?
We treat the symptoms, not the cause.
Absolutely. That's why I hate Western medicine. So, you know, because we don't want to get deep. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we're going to get the shovel. Nobody wants to get the shovel, George. Nobody wants to get the shovel. The shovel is heavy. It's cumbersome. It's probably got some splinters on the handle. Nobody wants to get the shovel. You're going to sweat a little bit. Yeah, it hurts. You might drop it on your toe. You got to change your attire. So when you really starting to shovel, you're not going out in your $600-700 suit and your $800 watch. You've got to change your attire. You've got to put on different shoes. You've got to put on different external things to get the shovel to dig deeper. You got to be willing to get dirty. Nobody wants to get dirty.
I'm writing this down. Get prepared to do the work.
Hey, because you know, I have people that'll come to me all the time, and I often use the construct of, my father moved houses for 50 years, so I'm always talking about houses. And so for me, people will come, and not just couples, but I see it a lot with couples. They'll say, hey, we've been looking at the walls in our house, and we've got little cracks in the corners. Can you fix the cracks? Cracks in the walls are indicative of a foundation problem. We don't fix the foundation by fixing the walls. We fix the foundation by getting under the foundation and getting dirty. Nobody wants to get dirty. They just don't want the cracks in their walls.
That's a whole sermon right there.
I mean, it will preach indeed.
We'll be back right after this. We're going to get you Stephanie's contact information and tell you about the work she has coming up right after this.
Taking payments from today's different platforms makes it harder to manage your business. Dealing with varying fees, reporting, and deposit times not only impacts your cash flow, it makes reconciliation a nightmare. Besides, all the payments are still tied to a debit or credit card. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provides your business with payment solutions that make reporting simple. You can manage inventory, host shopping carts, take POS payments, ACH payments, send invoices, and so much more. Most businesses save over $2,500 a year in processing fees, a real impact on your bottom line. To learn more and get customized payment solutions, visit elite8financial.com or give us a call at 866-2ELITE8. Get behind the shield.
Okay, I believe I typed this in wrong, so I want to make the edit, because before I put it on there, I had StephanieD.com because I was wrestling, but it's StephanieDMcKenzie.com.
That's it.
All right, so you guys can check out Stephanie at StephanieDMcKenzie.com. So what are some of the things that you have coming up, and where can people see you?
Awesome. Well, you know, I'm always available for private coaching. Right now, we're in the middle of a mastermind. It's called Epic Abundance. I'm having so much fun. 90-day mastermind. to activate abundance in your life, love, business, and body. And we've got like myself and I think 5 other coaches. It's just insane. We're doing that. And I'm going to be launching another mastermind probably in 2022. And that one is going to be ridiculous, in a word, just completely ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to that. Love the group program. Definitely opening up some spots to work with people one-on-one or 2-on-1 if they're in a couple. But all roads lead to healing. So I'm not fixing cracks in the wall. If you're ready to get dirty, if you're ready to activate abundance, if you're ready to operate in self-love, regardless of whomever else you're loving, then, please reach out to me. I look forward to meeting you.
And that's the message for today, everybody, is the healing part. If you start to build from the roof down, it's bound to crumble. You have to do that thing from the ground up, and that slab has to be secure. Thank you for coming on, Stephanie. We look forward to having you back in 2022. And you can, is the TEDx talk available yet?
Not yet. Probably later this month, we're hoping.
Okay, be sure to let us know about that. She's going to post it in the Boss Talk Radio group on Facebook. We will see you guys on next week. Talk to you then.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. Need a boss, ooh, need a boss, ooh, yeah, boss, he's the boss, need a boss, need a